Boundaries define value. When a woman sets clear standards and lives by them, she teaches others how to treat her. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges of mutual respect. They are not about shutting people out, but about showing people the healthy limits within which relationships can thrive. Too often, boundaries are misunderstood as selfishness or coldness, but in reality, they are an act of clarity and strength. When a woman establishes boundaries, she is not trying to control others, she is communicating her worth in a way that leaves no space for confusion. This clarity helps others understand how to approach her, what she will accept, and what she will never allow. Boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. A woman who values herself refuses to be treated in ways that diminish her dignity. She does not settle for disrespect, manipulation, or half-hearted effort, because she knows that her presence is not something to be taken lightly. By holding firm to her standards, she creates an invisible guide for others to follow. Men and women alike instinctively respect someone who knows their limits, because it shows strength of character. When a woman says no with confidence, she sends the powerful message that her time, energy, and emotions are valuable. At the same time, boundaries are not about building barriers to keep others at a distance. They are about creating healthy spaces where respect can flourish. In relationships, whether personal or professional, boundaries prevent resentment, misunderstanding, and imbalance. They allow people to give and receive in ways that are fair and sustainable. For example, if a woman sets a boundary around her personal time, she teaches others that she values rest and balance. This is not rejection. It is respect for her own well-being, which ultimately strengthens her ability to give to others. By protecting herself, she also protects the quality of her connections. Boundaries also reveal consistency. It is easy to declare a standard once, but living by it day after day shows that it is not negotiable. When a woman remains steady in upholding her boundaries, people around her learn that her words have weight. They understand that she does not make empty declarations, she follows through. This consistency inspires trust and admiration. Men in particular deeply respect women who stand by their principles, because it shows that they cannot be swayed by pressure, flattery, or convenience. Another important aspect of boundaries is that they foster equality. Relationships without boundaries often slide into imbalance, where one person gives too much and the other takes advantage. By setting limits, a woman ensures that the relationship remains built on fairness. Boundaries communicate that respect must flow both ways, that her needs and feelings matter just as much as anyone else's. This equality strengthens the bond because it is based on honesty and balance rather than sacrifice and resentment. Boundaries are also a powerful form of teaching. Every time a woman honors her own limits, she models self-respect for others. She demonstrates what it means to take care of oneself, to honor one's values, and to live with integrity. People learn how to treat her by observing how she treats herself. This silent teaching reshapes the dynamic around her, attracting those who value her strength and discouraging those who would exploit her kindness. Ultimately, boundaries define value. They are a reflection of inner worth turned outward in action. They are not about distance, but about respect, not about shutting people out, but about letting the right people in under the right conditions. A woman who applies this principle shows the world that she is not afraid to stand for herself. She becomes someone who is not only respected but also admired, because she proves that self-respect is the foundation of every meaningful connection. Confidence creates gravity. A confident woman does not chase respect, she attracts it. Confidence is silent, yet it speaks louder than words. It is not about walking into a room with the loudest voice, the boldest statement, or the flashiest presence. It is about carrying an inner assurance that radiates without effort. Confidence is magnetic because it reflects self-belief, and self-belief is rare. People are instinctively drawn to those who exude calm certainty because it gives them a sense of stability. A confident woman does not need to prove her worth, explain her value, or compete for attention. She simply lives in a way that makes others recognize it on their own. The power of confidence lies in its quiet strength. A woman who is confident doesn't have to announce her achievements or justify her choices to earn validation. She knows her worth, and that knowledge is enough. This quiet assurance creates gravity, an invisible pull that draws respect, admiration, and even trust. When people encounter someone who is grounded in themselves, they feel that authenticity. They sense there is no pretense, no desperate attempt to be liked, only the natural ease of someone comfortable in their own skin. That is why confidence has the power to influence without force. Confidence also defines how a woman carries herself in relationships. Instead of seeking approval, she brings value. Instead of needing constant reassurance, she creates assurance by the way she lives. Men in particular respect women who do not chase validation because it shows strength of character. When a woman is confident, she does not fear being alone, she does not compromise her values to fit into someone else's expectations, and she does not attach her identity to whether others accept her. This independence commands respect because it demonstrates that her self-worth is unshakable. Another reason confidence attracts respect is that it breeds consistency. A confident woman does not shift her principles to suit the mood of the crowd. She remains steady, guided by her own values, regardless of external pressures. People quickly learn that her viz means yes and her no means no. This clarity creates trust. Respect naturally flows to those who are dependable, and confidence makes the dependability visible. It shows that her choices come from strength, not from fear of rejection. Confidence also allows a woman to uplift others. Insecurity breeds competition, but true confidence breeds collaboration. A confident woman is not threatened by the success or presence of others. Instead, she celebrates it. She knows her worth is not diminished by someone else's light. This generosity of spirit makes her magnetic because people feel safe in her presence. They know they will not be judged or undermined, but rather encouraged. Respect grows when others feel empowered by being around you, and confidence makes this possible. Furthermore, confidence transforms challenges into opportunities. A confident woman faces difficulties without losing herself to fear or doubt. She understands that setbacks do not define her, but how she responds to them does. This resilience is deeply admired because people respect those who stand tall in adversity. Confidence gives her the courage to take risks, to step into the unknown, and to grow despite uncertainty. By doing so, she not only attracts respect but also inspires it. Confidence creates gravity because it removes the need for pursuit. A woman who is confident does not run after validation, respect, or admiration. These things come to her naturally because people cannot help but be drawn to the steadiness she radiates. Confidence is the invisible voice that speaks louder than words, the silent assurance that makes people stop and notice, the quiet force that commands attention without demanding it. It is not about control or dominance, but about alignment with one's true self. When a woman embodies confidence, she becomes magnetic, and respect follows her wherever she goes. Consistency builds trust. Respect is fragile when words and actions don't align. Living with integrity and consistency makes others know they can count on you. Trust is not given freely. It is earned through repeated experiences where reliability is proven over time. People may be impressed once by powerful words or a grand gesture, but respect does not last without consistency. When someone continually demonstrates that their values match their behavior, admiration grows naturally. In contrast, when there is a gap between promises and actions, respect begins to erode because people feel betrayed or missold. Consistency is the foundation on which lasting trust is built, and without it, even the strongest bonds begin to crack. In relationships, whether personal or professional, consistency communicates stability. A consistent person shows up the same way regardless of circumstance. Dependable in times of ease and steady in times of challenge. This steadiness creates a sense of security because others know what to expect. It removes uncertainty and anxiety, replacing them with trust and assurance. A woman who lives with consistency demonstrates to the world that her character is not situational, it is anchored in integrity. People respect that deeply because it is rare to find someone who remains true even when it is inconvenient. Consistency also shapes credibility. Anyone can speak of values, commitments, or principles, but credibility comes only when those declarations are lived out day after day. When a woman says she will do something and then follows through, she builds a reputation as someone whose word matters. Over time, this creates an aura of reliability that attracts respect. People naturally rely on those who are consistent because they know they won't be left uncertain or disappointed. It is not the occasional act of greatness, but the everyday demonstration of reliability that makes others trust and admire. Another reason consistency builds trust is that it removes doubt. When actions are unpredictable or inconsistent, people begin to question motives. They wonder whether promises are genuine, whether commitments are solid, or whether loyalty is real. Inconsistency weakens respect because it creates confusion and instability. On the other hand, when someone lives with integrity, aligning words and actions, doubt is replaced with confidence. People can count on that person because experience has shown them reliability. Respect naturally flows to those who provide clarity instead of confusion. Consistency is also a reflection of discipline. It is easy to make a promise in moments of excitement or to show up only when things are convenient, but true consistency requires effort and intentionality. A woman who practices consistency shows that she is not driven merely by mood, convenience, or outside influence. Instead, she demonstrates that her actions are guided by values. This discipline becomes admirable because people respect those who live by principle rather than impulse. It shows strength of character and seriousness of purpose. Furthermore, consistency nurtures respect because it creates fairness in relationships. People feel valued and safe when they know they will be treated with the same level of respect, kindness, or honesty every time. This fairness eliminates the fear of sudden shifts in behavior. A consistent woman does not fluctuate in how she treats others based on her feelings or external pressures. Instead, she offers stability that strengthens trust. People admire this because it shows maturity and emotional strength. Consistency also reflects authenticity. When someone continually lives in alignment with their stated values, it proves that those values are not a mask but a true part of their identity. Authenticity is magnetic and consistency makes it visible. A woman who is authentic does not need to convince others of her worth because her daily actions confirm it. Over time, this alignment between words and deeds builds respect that is both deep and enduring. Respect is fragile, but consistency protects it. Every act of follow-through, every kept promise, And every steady moment of integrity becomes a building block in trust. Consistency proves reliability, shows authenticity, and reflects discipline. When a woman lives this way, others know they can count on her. And respect naturally becomes the response. Empathy strengthens connection, understanding others, while standing strong in your own identity creates the balance where respect naturally grows. Empathy is often misunderstood as weakness, as if caring too deeply for others somehow diminishes personal strength. In reality, empathy is one of the greatest demonstrations of strength because it requires awareness, patience, and emotional intelligence. To step into another person's perspective, to feel what they feel without losing your own sense of self, is a skill that few master. Yet when a woman embodies empathy while maintaining her boundaries and identity, she becomes someone others admire and respect. At its core, empathy is about listening with the intent to understand, not simply to reply. It means pausing long enough to hear the unspoken words, to notice the emotions beneath the surface, and to recognize the humanity in every person. A woman who practices empathy shows others that their experiences matter. She validates feelings without judgment, and this creates trust. People naturally respect someone who makes them feel seen and understood, because it is rare in a world where most people are waiting only for their turn to speak. But empathy is not about losing oneself in the emotions of others. True empathy requires balance. A woman who understands others while still holding strong to her values demonstrates both compassion and strength. She can care deeply without compromising her own principles. This balance commands respect because it shows that her kindness is not rooted in weakness but in confidence. She is able to open her heart to others without allowing herself to be diminished or taken advantage of. This ability to blend compassion with self-assurance makes empathy not only powerful but admirable. Empathy also deepens connection because it fosters understanding across differences. When a woman takes the time to see the world through someone else's perspective, even if she disagrees, she builds bridges instead of walls. Respect grows in these spaces because people feel valued even when their views diverge. This openness does not mean she abandons her own beliefs. Rather, it shows that she can respect others while standing firmly in her truth. Such maturity creates an atmosphere where respect is mutual, not one-sided. Another powerful aspect of empathy is its ability to diffuse conflict. In moments of tension, a woman who responds with empathy instead of aggression brings calm to the situation. By acknowledging emotions and validating perspectives, she reduces defensiveness and opens the door to resolution. People respect those who can remain composed and compassionate under pressure because it shows strength of character. Empathy, therefore, is not softness. It is a form of leadership that transforms conflict into connection. Empathy also inspires loyalty. People are drawn to those who understand them, and they remain committed to relationships where they feel heard. A woman who practices empathy becomes someone others want to be around, not because she gives in to everyone, but because she creates an environment of safety and acceptance. Men, in particular, respect women who balance empathy with self-respect, because it shows she is capable of nurturing connection without losing herself. This loyalty is not demanded, it is earned through consistent acts of understanding. Empathy strengthens connection because it humanizes relationships. It reminds people that respect is not built only on authority, confidence, or achievement, but also on compassion. When someone feels understood, they automatically respect the person who took the time to listen and care. A woman who combines empathy with strength becomes magnetic because she embodies the rare quality of being both approachable and unshakable. This combination inspires trust, admiration, and deep respect from everyone around her. Ultimately, empathy is not about choosing between strength and compassion, but about embodying both. Understanding others while staying rooted in one's own identity creates harmony, and in that harmony, respect naturally grows. Growth inspires admiration. A woman who invests in her own growth, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, becomes someone others not only respect but also aspire to follow. Growth is magnetic because it reflects the courage to evolve, the humility to learn, and the discipline to keep moving forward even when it is uncomfortable. People instinctively admire those who refuse to remain stagnant because growth signals strength and resilience. A woman who chooses growth sends a message without speaking. She values herself enough to continuously become better. That message inspires others to rise to their own potential. Emotional growth is one of the most powerful forms of development. A woman who learns to master emotions instead of being mastered by them becomes a source of stability. She does not lash out in anger, crumble under pressure, or let fear dictate her choices. Instead, she responds with clarity and balance. This level of emotional intelligence makes her admirable because it shows strength that goes beyond surface appearances. People respect those who are steady in turbulent times, and emotional growth is what allows her to stand grounded when others would falter. Mental growth is equally inspiring. A woman who invests in her mind through learning, reflection, and curiosity becomes someone others look up to. She does not settle for ignorance or complacency. She seeks knowledge and wisdom to expand her perspective. This thirst for growth keeps her evolving, making her more capable, more confident, and more resourceful. People admire her not only for what she knows, but for her willingness to keep learning. Men, in particular, deeply respect women who challenge themselves mentally because it shows independence and depth. Her mind becomes an asset that makes her magnetic. Spiritual growth adds another layer to admiration. A woman who invests in her spirit, whether through faith, mindfulness, or deep reflection, radiates a sense of peace that others are drawn to. Spiritual growth allows her to rise above ego, comparison, and fear. It gives her the strength to live with purpose and the wisdom to see beyond temporary struggles. People respect those who live with meaning because it inspires them to search for their own. Spiritual growth makes her a light for others, someone who uplifts without demanding attention, simply by the way she lives with grace and purpose. Growth also inspires admiration because it reflects courage. It takes bravery to face one's weaknesses, to admit there is room for improvement, and to do the hard work of change. Many people avoid growth because it requires discomfort and vulnerability. A woman who chooses growth despite the challenges demonstrates resilience. People admire her because she shows what is possible when courage is greater than fear. Her journey becomes a silent encouragement for others to take their own steps toward transformation. Another reason growth is respected is that it creates independence. A woman who invests in herself is not waiting for someone else to complete her. She is not dependent on external validation or circumstance to feel fulfilled. She builds her own strength, her own knowledge, her own peace. This independence makes her both admirable and trustworthy because people respect those who are whole within themselves. Instead of needing others to fill her gaps, she stands as an equal, offering partnership and inspiration rather than dependence. Growth also influences others by example. When a woman consistently chooses to grow, people around her feel challenged to rise higher themselves. She does not need to lecture or convince anyone. Her actions speak louder. Watching her transformation reminds others that growth is possible, no matter where they are starting from. This natural leadership, rooted in personal development, earns her respect because she shows the way forward not through words but through action. Ultimately, growth is the path that transforms respect into admiration. A woman who invests in her emotional stability, mental sharpness, and spiritual depth becomes more than just respected. She becomes someone others want to learn from, follow, and emulate. Her journey of growth makes her magnetic because it proves that strength is not about perfection but about the courage to evolve.